guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jennifer Nxumalo. I do hope that you join us by clicking that red subscribe button on the bottom. That is if you enjoy the content that I serve in this channel. In this channel, we do personal financial content, career content, as well as lifestyle content. And if you like any of those, please make sure that you join us. We'd love to have you. Also, don't forget to smash that like button because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. And also, thank you to each and every one of you guys who takes time to smash that like button when I drop the video, and also go in the comment section and leave me comments, your views, your stories on the comment section. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. It really does make me feel like I have engaged people and I do not have ghosts in my channel. So I appreciate each and every one of you. And now I even remember you guys with names, and some of you guys profiles I'm like, oh, I know her. There are people that that once they've commented, you're like, okay. So on today's video, we're going to be talking about living a life of abundance. Now, I was inspired by watching Zoe Pritchard's videos. She is a Canadian content creator and I love her content. I feel like I can relate so much with her content. You know, the way that you guys always comment on you always comment on the comment section saying, I inspire you a lot when it comes to your finances. For me, Zoe is that person when it comes to personal finances, because she lives a very simple life, and she is just working so hard on her finances. She's not a personal financial expert or anything like that, but she is so transparent with her financial journey that it inspires me as well. So when she created this video, I really got inspired to create it for you guys, because that is where I am financially. I do feel a sense of financial abundance, and so when I watched hers, it propelled me to sit down and look at my life and say, Geneva, you now have a sense of financial abundance. This is something you have always wanted, but now you finally got it. You finally feel it. You're finally living it. What are the things that you feel that made you get to this point? And so on this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the things that I feel like have allowed me to get to this point. Also because I know that is going to inspire some of you guys to continue working in your finances, because if there's one thing I love about you guys is that you are intentional about your finances. You are intentional about continuously working towards your finances. And so when I create these videos, I'm creating them with you in mind, that I want you guys to continue being in that path, because I know where it can lead you. So what are the things that I feel like allowed me to get to this point? The first thing that started the ball rolling for me is weekly allowances. Weekly allowances is something that I learned about last year from Nicolette Mashile, and I'm gonna do a full video about weekly allowances, how you can implement such things in your finances. But for now, I want to just give you these points, and then we will go into separate videos of some of these things in other videos. So what are weekly allowances, or what is a weekly allocation? Weekly allocation is basically saying you get paid once a month, ne? However, you still have 3 more weeks to leading up to your next payday. So your financial planning for the month must reflect those 3 weeks leading up to your payday. So that is what weekly allocation and weekly allowance is, and that is what I started doing. Because before, I was only planning for just when I get paid. I will do my budget, I will go do everything, and then I would be left with little to nothing to allow me to live in the next 3 weeks. It was not reflective of that, and so that always made me operate from a space of scarcity. It always made me operate from a space of being broke, and so it was going to be hard for me to attract any abundance living in such a state. And so I started implementing weekly allocation. I sat down and I said, okay, how can you implement such a thing in your finances? And I figured out a way, and I started working on it. But now my budget is fully reflective of the entire month, and not only when I get paid. However, this didn't stick for a long time when I implemented it, because I was still using cards. And what would happen is I would go to the shops with my card, and I would try to buy things, and you find that it will be more than what I budgeted and what I have for that week. And so I would end up using money for the following week. And by the time I get to the following week, you find that the money that I have there is less than what I truly need for that week. And what would happen? I would use money for the following week again. So by the time I get to the last week, I'm left with with little money, such that it's not practical for what I need. And so it did still make me operate from a space of scarcity. Things changed when I implemented cash stuffing, and that is the second thing that I did. And not that, guys, by the way, I didn't do these things intentionally because I wanted to achieve abundance. It's just that now when I look at it together, I'm like, oh, it's because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is why you are now at this stage when it comes to living a life of financial abundance. But it's not that I was like, okay, if I do this, then I'll do it. I'll achieve abundance. Because if I'm being honest with you, I did not know what financial abundance feels like. I did not know what it would look like. I had a sense of it, and my sense of it was just out of this world. It was just wrong. Because I used to think that financial abundance is having a lot of money. So the second thing that I feel like got me there is cash stuffing. I learned about cash stuffing a while ago, but I was oblivious to it and I was reluctant to implement it until last year when I saw Zoe implementing it, and the way that she did it just made it click for me. It clicked, and I sat down and I became more intentional. I learned about it. I was inspired. I even ordered my cash binders from Shein and I started planning. I feel like the weekly allowances now financially sticked because now I was no longer using cards. I was allocating in my cash binder exactly what I budgeted, and then I would spend what is in the envelope. Now, what I loved about the cash binder for me when it comes to my weekly allowances is that when I would go to the shops, I would take the envelope that I need and leave my cards, and then I would go to the shop and I would buy. And if anything, if the money came up to be more than what I have in my envelope, I then am propelled to return some things and only buy things that are within budget. So this helped me to say that, okay, for the following week I still have money that is enough. For the other week I still have money, so I'm not constantly using money for the other week just because I feel like the money is not enough, because the cash pushes me to spend only what I have because the rest of the money is at home. And so the cash stuffing really sealed the deal for me, because now I started spending what I have, started spending what I budgeted. And so and also another thing that cash stuffing did for me, and also I'm going to create a separate video for cash stuffing as well, even though not the one where I put money in the envelopes, but more so how can you implement it in your finances for people that are interested in it. So for me, I also feel like cash stuffing because it's tangible money. Let's assume that this is your bank card, and for me this is the cash. Let me just take it out. So this is cash for me. Let's assume that this is your bank card. Whenever I would have money in here, it didn't give me a sense of you truly have money, Jennifer. Like it didn't give me the nice feeling, man. It didn't give me that nice feeling that I have money. Like as much as I knew that, okay, in my card I do have money. Maybe let's say for instance I would have 1,000 in there. I knew that I had money, but it didn't give me the nice feeling of having money. It didn't, because there's something about digital money that it just doesn't register as easy as it is when it comes to cash. So this is what we use to pay. These are the notes of 100 rands. For me, the feeling of cash in my hand, the sight of money in the envelopes, when I know that, oh, in this envelope I have money, and I can see, oh, for petrol I've got money, and then seeing it, touching it, feeling it, for me gave me a sense of you truly have money, Jennifer. Like you are okay financially, you are okay, you've got nothing to worry about. It feels good to hold money like this on my hand. For me, having cash like this, seeing cash in my house, whenever I would go to this bedroom, seeing cash, gives me a sense of abundance. It gives me a sense of having money. So I just wanted to explain this to you guys so that you get what I'm trying to say. So for me, cash stuffing as well as weekly allowances really ticked the box for me. So now let us get to the other things that I did that I feel like allowed me to get to the point that I'm in right now. So the third thing that I did was to deal with my debts. Now I used to have lots of debts. I talk about this almost every video that I do about finances. I used to have debts, and what debts did for me, especially, and not just debts, guys, because I still have debts. I still have this house I'm paying for, it's a debt, and they recently sent me a statement, by the way. Ridiculous, this interest rate. Ridiculous how much I'm paying for this house and what I think it's worth for me to be paying for each and every month. Ridiculous. But we are not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that I still have debt. However, the debts that I have, they're not consumer debts. They're not high interest debts. And so they don't eat on my disposable income as much. What happened before is I had all of these consumer debts and these high interest debts, because if you borrow money that is not attached to any asset, you will incur high interest debt. So I had personal loan and a credit cards, and also store accounts. These things ate on my disposable income, and that is why for me it always felt like I do not have enough money. I felt like I needed to make more in order for me to feel like I have money. And so when I dealt with this debt, it allowed me to free up so much of money that I can now put towards savings, that I can now put toward things towards my weekly allowances, so that I can now have more money to make sure that each and every week I'm able to survive. Now, be it that it was before when I still had all of these debts, it was going to be hard for me to do some of those things, especially when it comes to my weekly allocation, because before I only had limited money for me to spend in a month. But now I feel like my budget allows me to properly plan, because I no longer have those high interest debts that eat away on my disposable income. And I'm sharing this with you because I know that many of you guys do have debts, but you will see as you work towards your debts and you clear up all these things, you will realize how much money you have freed up. So long as you make sure that as you are clearing these debts, you are not accumulating more debts along the way, or you are not inflating your lifestyle along the way, because you will not see the benefits of you paying off that debt if you're going to get out of this debt and then inflate your lifestyle. So what you want to do is, as you are dealing with these debts, is that you make sure that whatever that you were paying, you save majority of that so that you can see the value of it. And then the fourth thing that I did was prioritizing paying myself. When I started paying off majority of my debt, I freed up money, and I realized that, okay, it's time for me to put money towards savings. And so paying yourself first is paying your future self. It's just basically saying, I am going to bet on you, and I'm going to put money away for you in whatever that may come up in the future. So for me, what I did was I started paying myself more often. I started making sure that each and every month my budget is reflective of the fact that I need to pay for myself first. I need to pay myself first before I pay for all these other things. And so I prioritize saving right now. And so I started with just stokvels. I had a stokvel which I was just saving a minimum of 500 rands per month, and then I progressed towards having an emergency fund. I then progressed towards saving towards my child's future education fund. Now I'm able to save for things that we want to do at home. All of those things, it's paying myself first. And so I feel like that gives me a sense of abundance, because when I look at my funds, I feel a sense of joy knowing that if anything were to happen, I'm okay. Like when I look at my emergency fund, I feel a sense of calm, because I know that if anything were to happen, I will be okay. I will have money to deal with whatever that may come up. Even though I do know that there might be a shortfall, because we do not know what may come up. But at least I have something to get me started. And so for me, paying myself first allowed me to have a sense of calm, a sense of peace around my life when it comes to just knowing that I do have money stashed away. And then the last thing that I did was heal my relationship with money. Guys, I come from poverty. When my father was alive, we lived a rich life, guys. I was still young, but I could get a sense that we did not live a life of lack based on the life that we were living when my father was alive, and he was a breadwinner. So when he passed on, my mother was left to fend by herself for all the 6 kids, and it was a lot for her as well. So we lived in poverty for years, guys, for years. Money would come in, go out, and you would not even see what it does. And when I say poverty, guys, I know people say, oh, I come from humble beginnings. Like, those ones were not even humble beginnings. Those ones were not humble. That thing was not humble. That thing was savage. It was savage. As a girl child, not being able to afford sanitary pads and having to improvise. When I say improvise, if you're a girl, you understand what I mean. Having to improvise because you cannot afford to buy yourself sanitary pads. That for me is a signal of living in extreme poverty. For you to go to school with an empty stomach, and back then there was no feeding schemes at school. Go to school with an empty stomach, come back at home with an empty stomach. And not that my mother was a failure, you guys, because I know that some mothers, they were able to do those things, like in terms of improvise. My mother did not have time for that because she had to work. She had to go out and work so that we can survive. And so there was no one left at home to make sure that when we come home, there's food. So when I would come back home, with an empty stomach and still be hungry because there was nothing to eat. We only had food to survive. Whenever we would eat for the night, and my mother would say, ikusasa lizoyibona lona. So what that means is tomorrow will see itself. That's how we operated for years, that we are surviving for today and now. That's the level of poverty we're in. Surviving for now, to say, okay, let us feed our tummies now. Tomorrow will see itself, and tomorrow will come, and you will be hungry. You will wait for the night for Uma to come back with whatever that she comes back with, and we will try to cook that, survive for that night, go to school, come back, wait for that. Like, we lived that life for years, guys, for years. And so when I say I come from poverty, I mean extreme poverty. I used to walk to school with barefoot in winter, and they would laugh at me. The kids would laugh at me and call me 10 toes because I was walking at school with barefoot. At first, the shoe would have a hole, and I would put a carton in it, and I would survive for months with it, to a point whereby it's unsurvivable, to a point whereby I have to face a reality to say, now you are walking barefoot at school. And I had to do that, And so what I mean here is, because I grew up in that life of extreme poverty, I was a person that always, not that I felt it the most, we all felt it, but I internalized it the most. And the reason why I'm saying I internalized it the most is because I'm looking at my life now, and all the decisions that I've made, they've always stemmed from that. They've always stemmed from the fear of living in poverty again, the fear of running out of money, the fear of never having enough food, especially when it comes to me and just making sure that my daughter has food, my daughter is well taken care of, that my daughter does not lack. And so everything has always stemmed from, I do not ever want to live that life. I never want my child to experience that. That is why even now when I save for her fund, it's not just me just saying that I'm saving for her fund. It's just me saying I'm taking other steps additional to things such as life covers, things such as funeral, whatever policies, to say that even when I have passed, yes, you might get this lump sum, but then there's still this fund also, just as an addition, to say, I want to make sure that you are taken care of. I want to make sure that you are fine, be it that I'm alive or I'm no longer alive. So everything that I've done has stemmed from an unhealthy relationship that I've had with money, and it stems from poverty, living in lack, living in a survival mode. And I knew that that's not a life that I wanted for myself. And so what helped me to get to this point of living in abundance is healing that part of my life, healing my relationship with money. looking at money as an asset and not looking at it as something that if it's not there, that means that my life crumbles. Looking at money and understanding that this is a tool that allows me to get what I want in life, but it's also not a definer of who I am. So I had to heal all of that. I had to heal those scars. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not completely there. I still have those fear of poverty, fear of lack. I still have those things lingering in the back of my mind. But now I'm more conscious of it. And because I started healing on it, it allows me to pinpoint it whenever I feel it, that, oh, okay. Now you are going back to what you used to be, or what you think that you are going to get if you do not do 1, 2, and 3. And it's a good thing that I have that, but also it can be a negative thing because it can affect your relationship with money. And so I had to heal that part, and I had to work on that so that I know that, Jennifer, the things that you have done so far have propelled you to get to this point. What makes you think that what you have is not enough? What makes you think that what you have, when it runs out, you are not going to be fine? What makes you think that? So it's those things, guys, that I had to work on. And so when you look at it holistically, weekly allowances, cash budgets, dealing with my debt, paying myself first in terms of saving and investing, as well as healing my relationship with money, all of these things clumped together have allowed me to live the sense of abundance, to feel that I have more than enough, to feel content, to feel calm when I look at my finances. All of those things together have got me to where I am. And so I'm sharing this with you with hopes that it will inspire you to keep going, to keep working on your finances, because it does take time. But when you do get to that stage whereby you feel like you have more than enough, you are not living from lack, and you do not operate from scarcity, then you will get the sense of you are living a life of abundance. So I'm gonna close off this video now so that I don't talk too much. And thank you to each and every one of you that has watched up until now. I am wishing you all the best in your finances, in everything that you do towards your finances, your career, your life. I'm wishing you the best. Please do know that you've got this. You have got this. Just keep working on it, and over time you will get there. It's not gonna seem like you are doing much now when you're still starting out, but trust me, over time it's going to add up, and when it does, it's going to just overflow. So with that being said, I will see you on the next one. Please take care and stay safe. Bye.